Have you ever wondered why millions of people willingly pay a company just for the privilege of shopping there? It sounds completely backwards. In almost every business, the goal is simple: sell products, maximize profits, and convince customers to spend as much money as possible. But Costco ignored that playbook. Instead of charging the highest prices it could, Costco deliberately kept its profits incredibly low. Instead of making money from every product on its shelves, it built a business where customer trust became more valuable than immediate profit. Today, that unusual strategy has transformed a single warehouse store into one of the largest retailers on earth, worth more than $300 billion, with hundreds of warehouses, millions of loyal members, and annual sales that rival some of the biggest companies in history. What's even more surprising, many of Costco's competitors knew exactly what the company was doing. They just couldn't copy it. Because Costco's success wasn't built on cheaper products alone. It was built on a business philosophy that most companies simply weren't willing to follow. At the center of that philosophy was a man who believed something almost every CEO would consider a terrible business decision. His name was Jim Sinegal. Long before Costco became a global retail giant, Jim wasn't chasing billions of dollars or trying to build the world's biggest warehouse chain. He was simply learning the business from the ground up, stacking shelves, helping customers, and studying one question that would shape the rest of his career. Why do so many businesses focus on making more money today, instead of creating customers who will keep coming back for decades? That single question would lead him to build a company unlike anything the retail industry had ever seen. A company where customers paid before buying anything. Employees stayed longer than competitors, and loyalty became the most valuable product on the shelves. But none of that happened overnight, because before Costco became one of the world's greatest business success stories, Jim Sinegal had to learn a lesson from another retail pioneer that would completely change the way he thought about business. And that lesson would become the foundation of a company that rewrote the rules of retail forever. Jim Sinegal's journey toward building Costco didn't begin with billions of dollars, a groundbreaking business idea, or even his own company. It began with a part-time job. In 1954, while attending college in San Diego, a young Jim Sinegal took a job loading mattresses at a warehouse retailer called FedMart. The work was physically demanding, but what fascinated him wasn't just the products on the shelves, it was the man running the business. That man was Saul Price. Price wasn't an ordinary retailer. He believed businesses should earn customers' trust before trying to maximize profits. Instead of charging the highest prices possible, he focused on offering exceptional value, encouraging customers to return again and again. For Jim, it was a masterclass in a completely different way of thinking about business. While others saw retail as a way to make quick profits, Saul Price treated it as a long-term relationship with customers. Jim absorbed every lesson he could. He worked in different departments, learned how warehouses operated, understood inventory management, and watched how small decisions affected customer loyalty. Those lessons would stay with him for the rest of his life. Over the next 2 decades, Jim steadily climbed the ranks, eventually becoming one of the company's top executives. But despite his success, he couldn't ignore one growing problem. The retail industry was changing. Competition was becoming more intense. Traditional stores were increasing prices to protect their profits. And many companies were beginning to lose sight of the customers who made their businesses possible. Jim believed there had to be a better way. Then, in 1976, Saul Price launched a new concept called Price Club, a membership warehouse designed to sell products in bulk at incredibly low markups. The idea was revolutionary. Instead of relying on large profits from every sale, the business would earn steady income through annual membership fees while keeping prices remarkably low. It was a model that most retailers thought would never succeed. But Jim saw something different. He saw the future of retail. A few years later, armed with decades of experience and inspired by everything he had learned from Sole Price, Jim Sinegal made a decision that would define his career. Together with attorney and business partner Jeff Brotman, he set out to build a warehouse company based on one simple belief. If customers genuinely trusted your business, they would keep coming back for life. In 1983, that belief became a company called Costco. But turning an unconventional idea into a successful business would prove far more difficult than either of them expected. When Costco opened its very first warehouse in Seattle in 1983, there was nothing particularly glamorous about it. The building looked more like an industrial warehouse than a traditional supermarket. Products were stacked high on shipping pallets instead of carefully arranged on decorative shelves. There were no expensive displays, no flashy advertisements, no luxury shopping experience. To many people, Costco looked unfinished. But that simplicity wasn't a weakness. It was part of the plan. Every dollar Costco didn't spend decorating stores, running expensive advertising campaigns, or building luxurious shopping environments was another dollar it could save and pass directly to its customers through lower prices. Most retailers worked the opposite way. They tried to maximize profit on every item they sold. Costco deliberately did the opposite. The company placed a strict limit on how much profit it would make from each product. While many retailers charged markups of 30%, 40%, or even higher, Costco kept its markups remarkably low, generally no more than about 14% on branded products, with an even lower limit on its own Kirkland Signature products. That decision changed everything. Customers quickly realized that Costco wasn't just claiming to have low prices. It actually did. Over time, trust became one of Costco's greatest competitive advantages. But keeping prices low created another problem. If Costco earned less money on every product, how could it continue growing? The answer was hidden in something most shoppers barely thought about: the membership card. Instead of relying primarily on product profits, Costco built a business where millions of customers paid annual membership fees before they even filled a shopping cart. Those recurring membership fees provided predictable income, allowing the company to keep product prices low while still operating a highly profitable business. It was a brilliant cycle. Low prices encouraged more people to become members. More members generated more membership revenue. More membership revenue allowed Costco to keep prices low, and lower prices attracted even more members. The cycle reinforced itself year after year. But Costco wasn't finished rewriting the rules of retail. Jim Sinegal believed that taking care of customers wasn't enough. He also believed the people working inside the warehouses deserved better than what the retail industry typically offered. While many competitors reduced wages to cut costs, Costco invested in higher employee pay, better benefits, and long-term careers. Critics argued it would destroy profits. Instead, it created a workforce that stayed longer, served customers better, and helped build one of the strongest reputations in retail. By the early 1990s, Costco had proven something the industry thought was impossible. Sometimes, the fastest way to build a billion-dollar business was to make less money today. But an even bigger challenge was waiting. Because as Costco expanded across North America, some of the largest retailers in the world were preparing to fight back. And one of them had resources that seemed almost impossible to compete with. As Costco expanded across the United States, the company found itself competing against some of the biggest names in retail: Walmart, Sam's Club, Target, and later, even Amazon. On paper, Costco shouldn't have stood a chance. Many of its competitors operated far more stores, spent billions on advertising, and offered customers thousands of additional products. But Costco wasn't trying to win the traditional retail game. It was playing an entirely different one. While competitors fought to attract shoppers with constant discounts and promotions, Costco focused on earning something far more valuable: trust. Members knew they didn't have to compare prices every time they visited a warehouse. They believed Costco had already done that work for them. That confidence became one of the company's greatest competitive advantages. Another reason Costco stood out was its discipline. Unlike many supermarkets that carried more than 30,000 different products, a typical Costco warehouse offered only around 4,000 carefully selected items. At first, that seemed like a disadvantage. But fewer products meant Costco could purchase larger quantities from suppliers, negotiate better prices, simplify operations, and pass those savings directly to members. Instead of overwhelming customers with endless choices, Costco focused on offering fewer products at exceptional value. The company also built one of retail's most successful private brands, Kirkland Signature. Originally introduced as a way to provide high-quality products at lower prices, Kirkland soon became one of the most trusted private labels in the world. From groceries and clothing to electronics and household essentials, millions of customers began choosing Kirkland products not because they were cheaper, but because they believed they were just as good, and sometimes even better, than famous national brands. As membership numbers continued to grow, Costco expanded beyond the United States, into Canada, Mexico, the United Kingdom, Japan, South Korea, Australia, and many other countries. Each new warehouse strengthened the company's buying power. More members attracted more suppliers. More suppliers created better pricing. And better pricing attracted even more members. It was a business model that became stronger as it grew. Over the decades, Costco transformed from a single warehouse into one of the world's largest retailers, generating hundreds of billions of dollars in annual revenue and serving millions of loyal members around the globe. Yet despite that extraordinary success, Jim Sinegal refused to abandon the philosophy that had built the company. He continued insisting that customers should always receive exceptional value, even if it meant Costco earned a little less today. That long-term mindset would become the company's greatest competitive advantage, and it would leave behind one of the most powerful business lessons any entrepreneur could learn. Today, Costco is no longer just a warehouse retailer. It has become one of the most successful membership businesses in the world, serving tens of millions of loyal members across multiple countries and generating hundreds of billions of dollars in annual revenue. But the numbers alone don't explain Costco's success. The real story lies in the philosophy that has guided the company since its very beginning. While many businesses ask a simple question, how much profit can we make from this customer today? Costco asks a very different one. How much value can we create so this customer keeps coming back for the next 20 years? That single shift in thinking changed everything. Instead of chasing the highest possible profit on every transaction, Costco focused on earning something far more valuable: trust. Customers trusted the prices. Employees trusted the company. Suppliers trusted the partnerships. And over time, that trust became one of Costco's greatest competitive advantages. It also proved something that many businesses still struggle to understand. Loyal customers are often more valuable than expensive advertising. Satisfied employees can become a company's strongest asset, and long-term thinking usually beats short-term profits. Those principles helped Costco survive economic recessions, changing consumer habits, and the rise of online shopping, while many once dominant retailers disappeared or struggled to keep up. Jim Sinegal could have followed the traditional path. He could have increased prices. He could have reduced employee benefits to improve quarterly profits. He could have focused on rapid expansion at the expense of customer experience. Instead, he stayed committed to the philosophy he had learned decades earlier from Sol Price. A philosophy built on fairness, discipline, patience, and putting the customer first. That decision didn't just build a successful retailer. It built one of the most respected companies in the world. The next time you walk through the doors of a Costco warehouse or see hundreds of shoppers waiting for the store to open, remember this: Behind every pallet, every membership card, and every crowded warehouse is a business strategy that dared to challenge one of the oldest ideas in commerce. That the best way to build a fortune is to make as much money as possible from every sale. Costco proved the opposite. Sometimes, the greatest fortunes are built by creating so much value that customers willingly come back again and again for decades. Because in business, the companies that last the longest aren't always the ones that charge the most. They're often the ones that earn something money alone can never buy: trust.